a preferable buff comp if given the opportunity?
I think it's going to be a little hard. I feel like Adagio will be the first ban coming out of Team Clytia, and that takes out a lot of the buff composition. But like we have seen with Gangstar Cerberus, that Saw, like they can still use that Saw, they can still use a bunch of push compositions that really work in their favor, even without that Adagio.
Yeah, they seem to find a way to make it work, and they locked that Glaive down as first pick. Of course, Adagio was banned out. Smart play by Clytia, as we talked about what Secret are able to do with that hero. Fortress and Sky the pickup, so this is run at you, this is high power.
Yeah, and this is something that we have been seeing a lot before. If you do have, like, Scoundrel was previously talking about this in the last match. If you do have a Fortress, you have to make the most use out of it. Especially, you have that advantage going up against very tanky heroes like Glaive and Arden, for example. So, how they can benefit from this, how they can take the advantage in that early game from this will determine a lot on how easily it is for them later on.
Man, and they go back to that Saw with Saw with the... Oh man, Sawshank Redemption over here for Team Secret. It's gonna be a good one, and Team Clytia they need to wrap this up. And for me, the thing, Sky doesn't do too well up against Arden. It's kind of decent against Glaive, but it's not like a one matchup. But you have the Fortress who excels in those roles. Is that enough to overcome the difference there?
With this composition, what Team Clytia has to do, especially on the Sky, is making sure that they're able to poke a little bit onto that Glaive, onto that Arden. You can bait Glaive's Afterburn to come out, but the thing is, don't jump onto Saw unless all three people are able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, you jump in, you get peeled, you get isolated. It could be very
hectic
for them.
But Team Secret will be trying pushing those turrets very quickly, and that's something that they're focused on. So take that time early in the early game, put as much pressure on the jungle as you can. You do know that Saw can rotate.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one of those weak points in the lineup, in the draft that they try and isolate there. Let's see, can Team Clytia do this? Going up against Team Secret right now, our reigning champions. This is going to be a tough match for Clytia, but I'm excited. They've made me a fan. I'm a Team Secret. Can we be fans? We can be fans of. I'm a fan of basically all these teams.
We can be fans of everybody.
That's right. Okay, we go into predict.
Predict?
Yeah.
Secret. I'll take that in 13 minutes.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys, we've loaded into the game, so let's go ahead and jump in. Throw it to our wonderful casters, Action Jackson and Scoundrel. I want to hear predictions from you as well.
Predictions from me and Scoundrel. All right, well, I think the Team Secret has the slight edge here. I think they looked on form yesterday with some of the compositions they were pulling out, and of course, they've got that signature Saw pickup here, something that they are so well known for and so well versed in. That said, I do think we're going to see a 3-game set here. Scoundrel, how are you feeling about this series?
See, I want to say Team Clytia. I want to go, yeah, be the underdog, Team Clytia. But realistically, if I look at this from a purely analytical point of view, I do think Team Secret definitely have the advantage. I'm on your path. I think this will go to a 3-game series because Team Clytia have honestly stepped up an entire level from the last qualifiers that we previously saw, Matt. So I think they definitely have the potential here, and if they take the first game, I wouldn't even put it past them to sweep this 2-0. But as it stands, pure analytical point of view, Team Secret are definitely favourites going in.
Yeah, I mean, something you gotta realize about Clytia, especially, actually, hang on a second, though, because we might see a fight here as Team Secret's kind of weaseled their way around to the other side of Clytia. John gonna get knocked into Majestic, but with Dark Energy rotating down, the first kill, in fact, is gonna go the way of Clytia. They should be able to find Mowgli as well.
Wow.
That backfired in a bad way for Team Secret. John wants more. Trying to get Qualifier. He's going for the recall. Justman spots him out. The Ford Barrage stops the recall. This is bad news. Team Secret could lose all 3 members here as Justman tries to come in. Qualifier wants the 1 return kill, but the Afterburn not going to be enough. It actually knocks him over the wall and away from any further damage. Maybe, I might consider changing my perspective, my predictions a little bit after that.
I don't think we can. I don't think betting works like that, Jackson.
Darn it! I put the house on this!
I put all my potatoes on this from last night, man. This is a big bet for me.
Hang on. I was going to say, right as that fight was kicking off, that Clytia might not be as much of an underdog as people think. I mean, they beat G2 Kingwin yesterday, and G2 were 2nd place in the first qualifier. So on paper, Clytia looking extremely strong, considering that Team Secret actually finished 3rd in the last qualifier.
Yeah, Dark Energy he was asking for that. Dark Energy was so asking for that. I mean, I think he even saw glaive and chose to remain in a fairly aggressive position. But John right now...
Whoa! The damage out of John right now. That's going to be one quick kill. Qualifier could be second. An auto attack from John finds it. Now Mobley with no easy way out. Hasn't got the Vanguard for another 6 seconds. Can't jump to a minion. He wants John, but he doesn't get him. 6 kills going the way of Clytia in under 3 minutes. That is 2 kills a minute, Scoundrel.
Do you know what? I really like the way they're using Fortress as well. This is so different from using Fortress as something like... Yeah, John.
John. Oh, suppressing fire is not quite going to be enough, and Qualifier can't close the distance. Just Man is going to be the sacrificial dog there, going down for Team Secret picking it up. But overall, maybe a little bit over-eagerness from Clytia.
Yeah, I was about to just praise the way they've been using Fortress. So this is really interesting, and it's my personal favorite way to use Fortress. You pair him up with someone like a Sky in the jungle, where you can use his movement speed, you know, and his ability to engage to a really great effect. And, you know, he gets that slowdown, and that just synergizes really nicely with the ability to get a nice forward barrage off. And also, you don't feel like you're on a timer when you're running something like Sky on Fortress, because Sky does do very well in mid to late game periods as well. So I really like the way they're utilizing Fortress in this sense, because you feel like every inch that you gain in terms of kills and aggressive maneuvers with this Sky, you're not doing it because you need to, because you're in the early game, but it just benefits your cause as the game goes on. And this is the way I think teams should be looking to use Fortress if they choose to get him in an early rotation.
Oh, Qualifier, he wanted to maybe knock someone into the turret there, but he couldn't quite find it. John, the poke is unbelievably high right now with that heavy prism as well as the crystal bit. He's doing so much damage. Already hit level 6 at 4.5 minutes. Has the death from above, and they're going to use it right now. Find the stun onto Majestic. Just Man goes down to the turret, but still not a bad trade, losing your roamer for the enemy laner and getting pressure on the turret and lane. 7 kills now on Clytia. They're really playing this early game well.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, utilizing John, he could go down. I think he will go down.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be Qualifier picking it up with the Vanguard. Actually popped right as he afterburns on top of him too, so even more damage there. I do think Clytia need to be a bit more reserved, but they're packing a punch.
I definitely think they're packing a punch, and I definitely think that they're making mostly the right moves here. Just don't overstep your bounds. Don't get too big for your boots. You're still a Sky, and if you get into melee range and don't respect vision control of a glaive in the early game, he will just do that kind of work for you.
Wow.
John, again, with the death from above, just so aggressive with his maneuvering here. And I think, you know, once you do have a level advantage on Sky, and once you do get a bit of a crystal power boost behind you, you can kind of make these moves. You can just run at the enemy team and be that hyper-mobile, aggressive damage dealer. I think this is probably, yeah, it's a Sorrow Blade on the Ringo, so they have a, you know, ability to have some kind of impact at every stage in the game. You know, Ringo will have an impact in the early game, and Sky will then take over later on. You know, Ringo's not useless in the late game, just doesn't compare to some of the other later game carries, especially like Saw. And I think that Sky's a really nice addition to deal with Saw as well, because she can just jump straight on top of him, and his slow movement speed makes it so much easier for her to land a pretty full and heavy forward barrage. So it just depends whether Clytia can maintain the pressure they've started putting down as well.
Well, I mean, Team Secret, off the back of that slight overextension from John, did pick up an early turret, which is fairly substantial. Even with that, they're not significantly far ahead in the gold. See Dark Energy doing some good damage to Qualifier here too. Majestic, he's gone for the Sorrow Blade as well, which I actually quite like. I think they need to be putting up some bigger damage numbers in the early game to compete with Clytia, who now, by the way, are going for the gold mine. But just on your point earlier about Sky, Death from Above is crazy good against Asa because he's very immobile. It's hard for him to reposition out of that.
Almost impossible if it's positioned really nicely. Interesting enough, that turret obviously went down very early on. The Sorrow Blade does mean that they have early tower pushing ability with that Saw. You know, he will just absolutely shred things if left to his own devices, and that's the kind of, I guess, the impact of having a Saw. You have Arden and Qualifier, you know, on this glaive, who will be able to peel for you very effectively with Gauntlet and Afterburn. And if they manage to keep people sufficient distance away and keep Majestic in a really safe position, with this Sorrow Blade, he's actually going to start doing some real work in these team fights. I mean, if you imagine he is sat there basically like a turret, just ripping to shreds anybody that comes within auto attack range of him. As long as you provide that protective barrier, anybody that gets within his range with this Sorrow Blade is going to start feeling some serious pain.
You know, I think I've got another skin to add to my list of suggestions for SAMC based off of what you just said there. Turret Saw.
Wait, he's just a mobile turret?
Yeah, he's got like wheels or something, right?
Yeah,
but
it's
90%
like
of the time you're just standing there shooting. It's just a turret.
So you take the turret skin that is already existing, as I say,
Oh,
there's a gauntlet comes down.
Mowgli, he does find Just Man in the gauntlet. John actually has to go into it, trying to get away, but it's not going to be enough. As Qualifier jumps forward as well onto Dark Energy. He is going to go down. Very nice engage coming out from Mowgli with the gauntlet to find Team Secret 2 quick kills and bring them a bit closer to evening up that kill score.
Again, lack of vision control. You're not seeing any of the opposing members appearing in lane behind the turret. You have to expect that they're looking for some form of flank. I mean, look at that turret just getting absolutely destroyed right now. That is that Sorrow Blade on sword. Just huge amounts of weapon power damage at this point
It's
in time.
only moderately slower than Qualifar's Ringo hyper carry turret taking ability from yesterday.
Exactly. So I'm just thinking, if you don't see the enemy team trying to defend their turret, you have to expect that they're probably looking for a way to set up a gank. So you have to have a flare in that jungle entrance brush around the tier 1 turret of Team Secret, but they just neglected that and got punished for it. Honestly, just completely punished in that sense. So that was a mistake, I think, on the part of Team Clytia. They should have been respecting the vision control that they needed. And it looks like all that early game aggression is starting to wane for them, as they're actually 2k gold down at this point in time.
There goes
the flare. There goes the flare, but it's a little bit too late on the wrong side of the jungle at this point in time. But that should have happened earlier, Team Clytia. If you made that happen, you may not have got caught out.
It's like a minute and a half late. No big deal.
Oh, but they get caught out at the same time.
Finds Dark Energy. Look at the damage. Mowgli jumping on the backline as well. Fountain keeping Dark Energy alive for the time being, but he can't stutter step enough. John is doing some good damage, but he's not hunting Majestic with Just Man. Majestic trying to get taken out. Oh, he manages just to go down as John does get knocked in by Qualifier. It's now Just Man 1 versus 2. Not a great position to be in. He doesn't have a turret to run to, so he just tries to stay and fight, but he falls. Team Secret with the ace, only losing Majestic. Fight's definitely starting to go their way.
There was one reason that went so badly for Team Clytia, and it's exactly what I talked about in the previous segment of fights. You just talked about vision control. You just saw Team Secret in the mid lane. I know, let's isolate Dark Energy by himself with no vision, gonna run past the choke point where the enemy team from the mid lane could very well be hiding, and he's surprised when an Afterburn appears out of the brush and isolates him and knocks him, gets him stunned. I just think this is sloppy, really sloppy from Team Clytia from such an early... Oh wow, they got the steal!
Yeah, Dark Energy does find the steal, though. That's pretty big. Almost 300 gold there. Mowgli is going to block with the reflex block that death from above as Qualifier gets jumped on a bit more by Just Man. But Mowgli's got the fountain, going to be sustaining up the members of Team Secret here. This time, Clytia have complete information and they have good positioning, but they can't actually push the turret because Majestic wipes the minion wave out.
Actually, they managed to regain a huge amount of gold from that immense payout just to keep themselves fairly level. And after having lost all those turrets too, they'll feel pretty happy about, I guess, receiving a small break there in the sense that they do get a huge amount of gold in their back pockets. I just criticized them for poor vision control. I now, Team Secret thought that they were home free with that gold mine, probably weren't expecting a contest coming out from Team Clytia, and didn't have any aggressive scout traps or even defensive scout traps set up to potentially scout out an opposing attempt at trying to take out this gold mine for themselves. So I think if Team Clytia step up their ability to control the vision, they'll be pretty decent going into these team fights, because the main reason they're losing them right now is they're getting caught out from very heavy flanks coming from, position of vision superiority from Team Secret. As long as they keep themselves, fully aware of what's happening across the map. Look at these flares from Team Secret. They know exactly what's going on. Luckily, the flares are starting to come out from Team Clytia. I don't know whether baiting. I feel like they're testing fate by running through this choke point over and over again.
Yeah, I do think it's a little bit risky, but this time at least they haven't been punished for it yet. Hellfire Brew going to be coming across onto Majestic. It gets blocked. Slow not going to help Clytia pick up the kills there, but here comes the Gauntlet. Dark Energy does run out. Justman gets stunned, but he's able to survive. The John with the zoning potential there. Death from above, stopping Majestic and from Qualifier from really committing. This is the attack of the pack. Qualifier tries to get onto the back line, goes for John, but John is able to get out of there. Dark Energy wants Majestic, finds him. Clytia with a much better fight than the last few we've seen. Still going for this. Mowgli slowed up consistently by Justman and Dark Energy with the Achilles shot, and they surely will be able to take at least one turret here.
And look how effective Team Clytia and how potent their team fight is when they have the vision and the information to know how to position. That you are seeing a complete different team in this respect, that if they know where to put their Sky, where they can position their Ringo, then they are just walking these team fights just by ability to kite backwards, use Sky's poke to deal with Qualifier, and then eventually move forward using that kind of early mid spike of the Ringo at this point in time to try and deal with Majestic. It's a completely different team fight that you're seeing from them when they're not getting caught out in the jungle or not getting caught out from an area of uncertainty in terms of the brushes, which they don't have vision control of. It's startling how different Team Clytia play when they have the information. And if they continue to garner that information, they should be in a fairly good position. Because like I said, I think they have a composition that can deal with the Saw. You know, they've got a Sky that is hypermobile, can deal with a very static Saw. Death from above is a very effective tool at dealing with him. So if they continue to maintain good vision control and information of the map, I think they've got a chance, and a very, very good chance here. Broken Myth just finished as well on John, so with that Frostburn, he's going to start doing some serious damage.
Yeah, and we're also seeing Dark Energy pick up a Crystal Infusion, so they definitely want to fight soon. Majestic has a weapon infusion on him that he just picked up as well. They know that in the next 30 seconds, Kraken will be spawning, and obviously it is a massive objective for the teams.
Absolutely.
Team Secret, they're trying to hide down here, play it a little bit sneaky, going for the efficient last-second gold mine, but they might be trading a turret for that. I've got to be honest, tiny payout versus a turret payout, not really that equivalent. Mowgli's going to go for the gauntlet. He actually gets two people. That gauntlet was insane. John already very low. The fountain not going to do enough. Dark Energy, he's all the damage for Clytia right now, and he's trying to kite. They do manage to get back from Qualifier. They've threatened him enough with his low health that they're going to have an opportunity here. And actually a Hellfire Brew doesn't get blocked. Qualifier likely to burn down. Dark Energy needs to get away though. The minion mine doing a lot of damage to him. Majestic and Mowgli cutting him off here. He is going to fall. The ace comes across for Team Secret. That fight had a moment where it looked like Clytia were going to come back into it. But by and large, they just did not react quickly enough after taking the turret.
Couple of things here, Jackson. Again, it was an issue that they got flanked from a position that they weren't aware of. And more importantly, no reflex block on John, no crucible on Justman. And against a gauntlet, I really feel like those should be priorities for you. Yes, it's great having a reflex block on Dark Energy, but this is 15 minutes into the game now. John is really going to be the guy that's carrying you through. Where the hell is his reflex block? Where?
Yep.
Glaive and Gauntlet, Glaive and Arden, you should have a reflex block now. If not, you should have a crucible for sure. All I can see is a fountain. So I'm super disappointed right now. I really feel like that there should be a reflex block at least on John. It is costing them the game at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, you can be mobile all you want, but if you get stunned up once, it's all over if you don't have the ability to stop that. Right now, Kraken doing some good work into the base here and actually sped up just to keep the push going a little bit faster with the Warhorn. It is falling decently quick. John and Dark Energy with some nice damage. Mowgli wants to pick up the turret, though. This is attack of the pack. They try to go in. John stunned up yet again. Hellfire Brew does splash across everyone, but there's no backup for Justman because they cannot run through the gauntlet. Look at this. Dark Energy finally runs through the gauntlet with the reflex block, but that's, a millennia too late in terms of Vainglory time.
And it's not even Dark Energy that should be running through the reflex block at this point in time. We're 17 minutes in, Jackson. It should be John. John can't. He is stuck behind it because he has no blinking reflex block. It's absolutely painful to watch a champion like Sky just sit there, unable to even use forward barrage, while he watches his fortress get annihilated within the gauntlet. Because he can't move into it. He can't reposition through it.
The
because
engage
he
would have
reflex
been
block.
so good if it had been there.
Exactly.
There is one now. John has the reflex
Thank
block
God.
now.
Thank the Lord of the
The several minutes of delay on stream have caught up, and he heard you loud and clear.
There we go. This may be good. I mean, it's not too late. You know, it isn't too late because they still have this Sky. They still have the ability to outplay in these.
They're in a
team
gold lead.
Exactly. With everything that they just lost, they're still in a gold lead. So, you know, it is not too late to pick that up, and I'm so glad that it is finally there for him because you just saw how painful that team fight was. But not only for me, probably for them as well. They're just watching John sit there like, crap, I can't do anything.
Maybe we should have a turret Sky skin too, because she's pretty immobile right now.
Oh, okay. I've calmed down now. Now that reflex blocked it there, let's just see if he can use it properly.
I'm sure he can. I mean, these guys are extremely skilled players. They've just got to find the right opportunities. Team Secret has been spotted out by the Flare. On the flip side, Clytia has not yet, although now they have Mowgli. He could be fishing for the gauntlet here. Not going to have too itchy a trigger finger, though. Maybe spots out that John has the reflex block now, so he's not going to commit to that as aggressively as he did earlier on. We've also, coincidentally, got the Crucible. Oh, sorry, no, we don't. I misread that. I was looking at Mowgli. So, yeah, no Crucible on Just Man. My bad. But right now, see Clytia looking like they might want to go for the flank here. Kraken's up again. Big opportunity for the team who can take it. But at the same time, Clytia have to be constantly aware of the fact that they've only got one base turret left. Team Secret could just try and shove in. Just Man leading the Vanguard right now, trying to find an opportunity. Mowgli going to use that gauntlet, but this time Majestic miles away, not coming in for the fight. Mowgli runs into the deaths from above, and John, this time he's able to position properly. Zones Mowgli out. Qualifier very low too. Dark Energy goes down to Majestic, but now it's a 1 versus 2, and he doesn't have the help he needs. Mowgli, he's barely able to get out of there, running for the Hail Mary play, I guess, into the base of Clytia. He's trying to go for the sneaky recall, but he gets stopped. This should be the ace coming across for Clytia, and that is what a reflex block can do for your team when John finally picks one up.
Yeah, and there was a couple of things that were really good about that team fight for me. You know, John kept himself within the gauntlet for as much time as possible, and then used the reflex block to allow him to reposition out of it. And you just saw how effective it is when you have a Sky that is able to be mobile, and that is how Team Clytia can play these team fights correctly against the Saw. You know, Saw spent all of his time chasing after Dark Energy, and Dark Energy isn't really the threat at this point in time. He still is a threat, of course. You never should completely ignore a weapon power Ringo, but he's not the threat that the Sky is at this point in time. And I'm relieved that this is what we're seeing from Team Clytia now, and the ability to play these team fights, because she is such a good champion at dealing with the very low mobility of Saw. As long as she does keep herself, you know, as long as you respect how much damage Saw can put out, and you keep yourself out of that range, because you can as a Sky, you can keep yourself well out of that auto attack range. Team Clytia are looking pretty good going forward from here, and that reflex block really, really helping out. Honestly, just a completely different team when it came to that team fight.
Absolutely. All right, so we got a few infusion buy-ups here. John also finishing a metal jacket. He's going to be a lot more difficult to kill between that and the reflex block that has been so strangely absent most of the game. Kraken beginning to push onto the turrets here as the Hellfire Brew lands and splashes from Majestic onto Qualifier. That's actually putting Team Secret in a bit of a dicey position. Kraken down to about half health after finishing up the first turret. Gauntlet gets popped. They're trying to find an opportunity to fight here. It does stun up Dark Energy, but he's able to get through. Majestic doing a lot of damage now with Qualifier jumping onto the back line too. John needs to kite, but he's already so low. They're trying to buy time for the Kraken. I don't know if it's going to be enough though. Kraken extremely low. And now Just Man just needs to run at this point. Team Secret find a good fight. I feel like maybe Clytia should have backed after maybe even just the one turret there.
Yeah, I feel like they were a little bit too aggressive, and actually think Just Man might eventually pay with his life here. It'll be a long...
Slowed up by the Vanguard, that's the big thing here. He's trying to buy time, I guess, maybe to stop the ace, but yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah, easy pickup for Team Secret. They're going to find themselves the ace. Thankfully, Kraken was just picked up by Clytia, so Team Secret doesn't have that option available to them, and probably don't have enough time to push into the base. So things have been reset a little bit.
So next item I feel for John should be an Eve of Harvest, and they probably will have a really good then setup to move for these team fights. I do like the full metal jacket. Obviously, the real threat here is Saw, so it's a very effective item at dealing with the damage he can output. The Eve of Harvest should be the next itemization choice for John. Dark Energy, oh dear.
Why? He went so much further out than he should have there. That wins
game.
Team Secret the game. It's all over. They are just going to push in here, take the Vein Crystal down, and in a very tense back and forth game 1, Team Secret take home the win. They want to, for the first time in like 3 qualifiers, make it to the finals and rep that champion status that they have from all of the live events.
Yeah, I think there's a okay. You heard me talk about that game. You heard me tell you what I think was wrong and what happened and how Team Clytia basically threw it out the window. They had moments of brilliance. Eventually, when that reflex block was picked up, you know, they started to look really good. But then Dark Energy decides to just attempt to melee. I mean, he said, "I'm Ringo. I've got a gun that shoots bullets, but I don't know what. If I just pistol whip Glaive in the face, potentially that will win me the game." No, unfortunately not. And again, a little bit overextension there cost them from a very unneeded, unneeded fight that was unfortunately forced there for Team Clytia. I do feel like previously to that, they were a little bit too aggressive with the Kraken. They weren't in a good position. You know, that gauntlet came down, they didn't need to move through it. They could have just backed off and said, okay, gauntlet down, wait for it to drop, then we can look for a team fight. But no, they forced themselves into it, went for the turrets, and unfortunately then, obviously then neglecting the Saw, so that resulted in them getting cleaned up. So yeah, a couple of series of misfortunate events that ended up in Team Secret running away with the game there. Congratulations, Team Secret, they take the first game.
All right, well, let's see if they can take the second. We've still got at least the one more in this series.